Hi, I'm Leah and I'm going to be teaching you how to complete the square. The question that we're going to be walking through is Unit 1 Assignment Question 2.
Okay, so we're going to start with our original equation of h at x equals 4x squared plus 32x minus 7. So what we want to do is complete the square. So just going back to what the purpose of completing the square is, or why we do it. So the end goal of completing the square is getting the equation from standard form into vertex form. So when looking at this equation, you know that it's in standard form by looking and seeing that it's in the form of standard form, which is ax squared plus bx plus c. So the end goal of this is going to be getting it to vertex form. So we'll know we did it right when we see the equation in vertex form. So let's go into the steps. So the first step we're going to take to completing the square is bracketing the first two terms. So let's just go ahead and do that. And this is almost isolating the c value. So we're going to move on to the second step, which is common factoring a from the first two terms. So when we do that, we know that the a value is 4. And so everything inside of the bracket should be divided by 4. So this should be what's inside your bracket at this point. Okay, so then what we're going to do in the third step is the first section to the third step is going to be taking the second term in the bracket, dividing it by 2 and squaring it. So let's take the positive 8 over here, and let's just divide it by 2, and then square the whole thing. So we know that 8 divided by 2 is going to give you 4, and then when you square 4, you're going to get an answer of positive 16. So then in the section 2 of step 3, what we want to do is then add and subtract this value into the bracket. So what we want to do is have 4 still on the outside of the bracket, and the x squared plus 8x still going to be in the equation. And then all we want to do is do plus 16 minus 16. Close bracket, have the negative 7 remaining on the outside. So the reason why we do this is with the adding and subtracting step is so that we don't change the equation. So when we're adding a positive and a negative into the equation, it's basically giving you like a value of 0. So yeah, this is in order to not change the equation. So then the fourth step that we're going to take is moving the negative term out of the bracket. So the negative 16 would be our negative term, and in the steps of this, you also want to multiply by your a value. So this can vary. So we're going to have negative 16 as our negative value, and we're going to multiply by 4. Now, when taking a look at when I did this originally in my Unit 1 assignment, this was my problem. I didn't multiply by 4, I multiplied by 2 because I'd mixed that up. So it's a good reminder to always make sure that you're multiplying by your a value. So this is always going to vary on whatever your numbers are. It's not going to be 2. It's not going to be 2 or 4, any set number. It's always just going to be whatever your a value is. So in this, the a value is 4. So as we're moving it outside of the bracket, we're going to multiply by 4. So then we should have x squared plus 8x plus 16, and we should have 64 on the outside, and 7 should still be on the outside as well. So then what we're going to do is we're going to move on to step 5, which is gathering the 2 terms on the outside of the bracket. So the 2 terms on the outside of the bracket is negative 64 minus 7. So we're going to have everything remain the same. So then negative 64 minus 7 should be negative 71. Yes, so then what we're going to do is you may notice that there's a perfect square trinomial in the inside of the brackets, which this one will be x squared plus 8x plus 16. So let's find something, let's common factor this, and we're going to find something that multiplies to 16 and also adds to 8. So we know that that's 4, so it's going to be 4 and 4. So let's just plug that in. So 4 on the outside of the bracket, and then x plus 4, and another x plus 4. And then with the 71 on the outside. So then as the last step of this is going to be, as the step 6 is factoring the perfect square trinomial, we know that we can simplify the 2x plus 4's into x plus 4 squared. So let's just do that to make sure that we're in vertex form. So then we're going to still have the negative 71 on the outside. And yes, so then now we know that we're in vertex form, so we know that we've done our equation properly and that we've done this correctly. So you always want to also make sure that you're common factoring. That is the mistake that I made in my Unit 1 assignment. You want to make sure that as your step 6 that we're always factoring. So we know we've done this correctly now that we're in vertex form. We went from standard form to vertex form. Okay, so now the second part of the question asks us to state the vertex. So with our new equation, we are easily able to state the vertex using the h and the k value. So first of all, we're going to use the h value in the bracket, which is 4, but when we're putting it into here, we are always going to switch the sign. So we know this is negative 4, and the k value is negative 71. So there, now we have our final vertex.
And that's it. So we've successfully completed the square and taken our original equation, which was in standard form, and we can now observe that it is in vertex form.